Greetings programs. This is Jack. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. If not, welcome aboard. This is my first Let's Play video ever. We're playing Planet Zoo. Now, I am not new to Planet Zoo. I have I think it's something like 2,400 hours worth of playtime with Planet Zoo. I love Planet Zoo. It's a fun game. It's a great way for me to express my creative urges, and that's why I like to play it. Plus, I just like watching fake animals run around a fake zoo. I've been meaning to do a Let's Play for a while, but I've never really been given the opportunity until now, when everything just kind of finally came together. And it worked out for me. So I decided to go ahead and start one. Welcome to the Harmony Point Zoo. That's what I've decided to call this. And like I said, I've never done a Let's Play before. I am really excited about this. And what I decided was that as far as the format of the zoo was concerned, I would separate the animals out by continent. So the African animals will be in one spot, the Asian animals in another spot, North American animals in a third spot, and so on. One thing that I wanted to do also was I'm going to be separating out the Arctic animals into a specific Arctic area, and the marshland animals into a specific marshland area, regardless of the continent that they are actually from. Let me see this for a second. Okay. 2. There we go. 2. And then 1. That should do it. It's a pretty basic idea. It's not the most creative idea in the world, but it works for me. And so that's basically what I decided to do with it. The fact that this is my first Let's Play, and the fact that I'm teaching myself video editing, means that I'm going to be making some mistakes, not just in the play of the game, because hey, I'm human, but also there's probably going to be technical mistakes in the videos I make and all that number. As someone said to me just today, go ahead and do it anyway. Your first couple of videos are probably going to suck, but that's alright. People will be patient with you if they know it's your first time. Well, now you know it's my first time, so please, by all means, be patient with me. I appreciate being patient. My plan, like I said, is to separate out by continents. What I would like to do eventually is to surround each environmental area with a river of some sort, and some other, some body of water, which is what I'm doing here. Let's get it to 1, please. Can I get it to 1? There we go. And up, and up, and then down. Whoops, nope. But that's what the bridge is for. I'm going to put a river under it eventually. Let's see. The first animal that I have chosen for my zoo, since I'm going to do the African area first, so we're going to have a lot of African animals. The first area is Africa, which you probably guessed that from me talking about African animals. But I've already chosen the first animal, and that's the aardvark. I chose them because I like aardvarks. I think they're cool animals. You don't see a lot of aardvarks in people's Let's Plays, and I think that's a plus. Also, I just happen to have a couple of them in my storage. So I don't have to like spend extra money getting an aardvark. This is going to be way too much room for the aardvark, so let's adjust this just a touch. I want to bring this into, say, there. I always do basic design first with the null barrier. It's easier to use, it's easier to alter, and it doesn't cost you anything. And since this is a franchise playthrough, not costing something is important because you're on a budget in franchise. If you've never played the franchise mode, you are on a definite budget with it. You have to watch your pennies. And it's a constant thing, watching pennies, because believe me, you can burn through, you start off with $40,000, you can burn through $40,000 as if it was water. Well, you know, gasoline maybe, I don't know, something that burns. You get what I'm trying to say. If you're not careful, you will burn through your budget quicker than you could ever imagine. Alright, what do I want to do here? I know what I want to do. I'm going to bring this all the way over to here, in fact, and then we'll just, oh, come on, don't be a nudge. There we go. Or you know what? Then I'll do this. Because what I want to do is lay down some staff facilities behind the exhibit. And I'm thinking this exhibit is way too big, so what we will do is this. We will we'll bring it down like this and just completely rework it. How far is that going to be? You know what, it's just easier to do this, isn't it? Of course it's easier to do that, Butler. Why didn't you do that in the first place? Oh, for crying out loud. That loud intrusive noise, ladies and gentlemen, was my insulin alarm. I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic, and what it's basically telling me is that it's time for me to now take my insulin. I will get to it eventually. I can hold off for a little while. It's not going to kill me if I don't take it immediately. But I'm going to finish doing this. Before I go and give myself a shot. I gotta tell you, a lot of people make assumptions about diabetics. You know, the first thing they say is, well, you can't have any sugar. No, that's not true. We can have sugar. We just have to be very careful as to how much sugar we take in. And to be honest, carbohydrates are a bigger danger to us than sugar is. I have more trouble from, say, I have more trouble from a piece of bread, from say a ham sandwich, than from a spoon of sugar in a 9-ounce glass of tea, for example. You just have to be careful with your sugar intake. And, but I give myself shots. I've been giving myself shots for a long time. I'm quite old. You know, the name of the channel is, Grumpy Old Guy Plays Games, because I'm a grumpy old guy. Accent on the old, accent on the grumpy, accent on the games, for that matter. I like playing games. I've been playing computer games and video games since the 70s. My original gaming console was an Atari 2600, if you can believe it. And the games compared, the games then compared to now were just primitive. So, let's see. Alright, I know what I'm going to do. As you can probably tell, and I probably should have said this earlier, but my plan for this Let's Play is to have it be real-time construction. And I know that takes a little longer, and I know that's, everybody else does speed builds, but I don't like speed builds, and there's a reason I don't like speed builds. The reason I don't like speed builds is because personally I can never tell what is being done. You're like, oh, that's cool, what piece are you using? I can't tell, things are moving too quickly. Oh, that's cool too. No, you're not going to be able to tell what I'm doing because things are moving too quickly. So I'm doing a real-time build, and that does mean it's going to take me slightly longer, especially given that I'm hesitating here and there every once in a while, and I need to not do that. I need to be self-assured. But I don't want to, I openly admit, I don't want to mess this up. I want you guys to have fun with it too. I want to have this fit my plan. I want this to basically work out, because if it doesn't work out, then why am I doing it? But that's okay. Being a little nervous your first time is fine. I'm sure it's going to work out. Why wouldn't it work out? I've played this game lots of times before. It's not like I'm going to fail at the game. You can't lose at this game. Well, you can technically if your animals all die, but my animals aren't going to die. And, in the meantime, we'll all have a good time with the game. I will say this, something that the other Let's Players, the other Planet Zoo Let's Players, Best in Slot and Paulsley and the Lady Ziner and Rudy and Zoofluence, the one thing that they never talk about when they are building their zoos is how keeping a running monologue going while you're building is difficult, because you're sitting here and you're, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to talk about? Am I really planning on talking about using null barriers? How boring would that be? But it is a thing. I always build first with null barriers because it lets me adjust things. It lets me go, okay, wait a second. And it doesn't cost me anything. And like I said earlier, costing is really important because the cost can get out of hand. Let's see, do I want this bigger? Yes, I do want this bigger. So let's do this. Let's go back to construction. You may be wondering why I'm using the construction pieces. I find that they end up looking better and I can do more with the construction pieces than I can with the actual barriers. This is not to mean that I won't use the actual barriers, but for the most part it means that I do prefer, when I build enclosures, to use construction pieces and null barriers in the construction pieces, just because I have a better idea of how it's going to work. I have more control. I just, it's a personal preference thing, and I admit it is a personal preference thing. Let's extend this path out a little. 1, 2, 3, that'll work. Of course, there does come a time where you want to use the barriers just because there are practical reasons for using the barriers, and I'll show you one. Okay, let's get this all lined up. Whoops. Oh, okay. And we'll get this lined up like so. No, I haven't forgotten my insulin, I promise. I know that there are those of you out there, most of you are watching the video and you're going, okay, so he's building an aardvark habitat. The rest of you are going, why hasn't he taken his insulin yet? Why hasn't he taken his insulin yet? I'll take my insulin, I promise. I promise. I'm not going to forget it. I've been taking insulin for a long time. Insulin is my life. I will say this, though. Every diabetic has those moments where what they really want to do is just not do it. We understand intellectually that we need to take our insulin. We need it, because our body does not generate insulin, and without insulin, you die. It's not just a case of you get sick, it's you die. If I don't take my insulin, I will die. But in the meantime, that means that I have to put up with effectively becoming a human pincushion. I give myself 4 shots a day. 4 shots. I give myself 4 what are known as, four maintenance shots. The first 3 are low dosage control insulin, and what that does is it keeps my blood sugar at normal levels during the day while I go through my day. Keeps me from passing out, allows me to digest my food without having problems, things like that. The last is a large dose, and the large dose insulin, what it does is it controls my A1C. Your A1C is something very important, and if your A1C is too high, it'll cause you to go blind. It'll cause nerve damage. You can, you'll lose blood flow in your lower extremities, and suddenly you'll have to have your feet amputated. All that number if your A1C is too high. So that's a bad thing. Whoops. Got to talking. Got distracted. But since that's a bad thing, I take the large dose insulin also. And, I've been giving myself shots for a long time. And you'd think that it was something I was used to. And the truth is I am used to it. But every once in a while you look at that needle and you go, I don't want to do this. I don't. Anyway, back to the game. I know you guys weren't really appreciating my digression into the politics of diabetes, but there you go. What I'm doing now is I'm building this stockade-ish thing around where I intend to have the aardvarks. I'm just trying to get it to line up. There we go. Curves are cool. But I like building from pieces, and I know I'm not going very quickly, and I know this is taking a while, and I'm sorry. But it works. I favorited it instead of selecting it. You gotta love when that happens. And besides, I'll be finished soon, I promise. This is not going to be an hour-long video. Alright. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Look at this. Look at this gap. Look at that gap. Can you believe this? Can you believe that gap? Nothing for it. You know what we're going to do? We're going to cheat. It's not an exact match. Not an exact match at all. Wonder, hold on a second. What if I do this? No, just that one. It's not pretty, but it works. All right. And let's place the entrance to the habitat right here in that doorway that I so cleverly included. And then we'll start working on the interior of this habitat. What I'm doing here is I'm building a hill that will divide the habitat into 2 general areas, the front and the back. Although I guess you could say there's a third area, and that third area being the hill itself, right? But I'm dividing it up into the front and the back so that the aardvarks will have a place to hide. That is, they are generally shy animals. And they don't like being watched, and they like being solitary. So you got to give them as much space and as much chance to actually hide as you possibly can. And I'm going to lower this area too, just to give it a little more feel. Okay, let's smooth that out. How's that look? Okay, that's a good start. Something I want to do here you may be wondering about the windows. The windows are very simple. The windows are for viewing. Let's get the windows. So, pop it up to there. Two-way glass. Let's reverse the two-way glass. That way people on the outside can see. And if you haven't done this before, if you're new to Planet Zoo, that's what it looks like on the inside as far as the animal's concerned. So we do this with every single window. Just bring it up and then blam. It's tricking the animal, but you know what? The animal can deal. You got to do what's best for the animal. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, my guests can't see the animal this way. You know what? If it's a choice between your animals and your guests, take care of the animal needs first. If the guests can't get a good look at the animal, well, that's too bad for the guests. If the animal's freaking out because there's too many people, then there's something wrong with your zoo. That's just my own personal play philosophy. Anyway, then every time I lay one down, I do this so I can figure out if the glass is in the wall or not like I want it. Okay, let's do this. But I have no idea what I'm going to do after the aardvarks, by the way. So if you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to make them in the comments section. Remember that I'm doing African animals first, so it'll have to be an African animal, but given how many African animals there are in this game, that could be almost anything. Generally you put the smaller animals up first, the least impressive animals, although for some reason the aardvark is a surprisingly popular animal in this game. I don't know why. They're kind of skidgy looking. They're cute. Don't think I'm not liking them. But now that I think about it, the one of the local zoos has one of those small habitats that you walk past in the entrance that has, but it doesn't have the exciting animals, but it's where you find things like the capybaras and the howler monkeys and things like that. Right up front near the entrance. And they don't have an aardvark, but they do have a giant anteater, and I've always thought that was kind of weird because, why have a giant anteater right there? But they do, and it works for them, so, So let's get to building the interior of this habitat. It's going to go pretty quickly once we get it here because I know exactly what I want. What I want is this small shelter that I remember seeing. Here it is. This is a blueprint. I'm not ashamed to say I use blueprints. This was originally designed, as far as I can remember, for the Lady Designer's Desert Zoo, but it works really well for any small African animal at all. To be brutally honest, any small African animal. It's got the basic theming and it fits nice, so you could use it as a shelter for anything that doesn't require a lot of headspace. And I'm going to put two of them. I'm going to place two of them, just because I like the look. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm pointing the entrances to these shelters away from the windows, because that'll give the animal just that much more privacy. You know what I mean? Privacy is important. It's good for the aardvark to be able to hide. Let's flatten this out a little more. There we go. Because now comes the toys. you know, the little decorations. We'll now turn off the blueprints for now. Let's get rid of the word small. Here's a food bowl, and we'll put the food bowl right here, and the water pipe. I have some covers for the water pipe, but I'm not going to use them right away. At least not here. I might use them later on. I might add them. What I'll do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the habitat, and then I'll pretty things up later. And by pretty things up, I mean the surroundings. You know, I'll add extras and all this number. This right here is my one exception. This is a foraging pit. It is specifically called Aardvark foraging pit. And it is a blueprint, another blueprint. Got it off the workshop. But it, in addition to being used by aardvarks, you can also use it for warthogs. You can use it for ostriches. Pretty much any animal that lives on the savanna in Africa, because of course the plants are all African plants. And it solves the problem nicely. It gives it gives coverage. It gives enrichment, and that's why I grabbed it. Okay, let's see about toys. We're going to put a termite mound over here, and we'll put a rubbing board back here, and let's put a sprinkler way back here. Alright, is there anything else? Should we put down something else? You know what, I'm going to add a cardboard box right there, just because I can't get over animals playing in cardboard boxes. It's just so cool. But let's put in the rest of our staff facilities. Put some paths to it, get some staff in, and then we'll be able to proceed. For those of you who wondered why I did that, why I had that little square, that's why. Because I'm planning on putting all the staff facilities in here. In the center of this one area right now. There's research, and there's a workshop, although to be brutally honest, I don't really need a workshop anymore. I got everything researched. And then the trade center, trade center last. Let's get some paths. Let's get some paths going. I like the brown path. Okay. Let's make it small. Alright, let's see. Whoops, missed this guy, so let's go back to it. Come on, come on. Oh, for crying out loud, really? I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. There we go. I knew it was possible. I knew it was possible. There we go. Okay. So let's get some staff down. What we got? We got a caretaker, a keeper, a mechanic, and a veterinarian, the usual standard array of starting staff members. I know all of you guys know, you know, the general rule about don't get any staff member in the beginning that you don't need? Well, obviously. Yes, that's a very nice market look at the aardvarks. I like the aardvarks that I actually have. Thank you very much. Let's bring these people in. We have Hannah and Bob. Those are the names of my aardvarks. Excuse me. It's a nice little exhibit. It's a nice little habitat. It's not overly complicated. There was one other thing that I wanted to do real quick that I didn't do initially. And that is I'm going to color the path using a different thing. This is going to be my African area path. I'm using the tree bark path for the African area. I'll pick another path when another type of path when I'm doing other areas. All right. It's not overly flashy, but that's okay. You don't have to have overly flashy at the beginning of your Let's Play. Let's turn the blueprints back on because there are a couple blueprints. There's a particular education board that I would like to use. This one? No, that's Asian. Oh well, I'll find it. Wait, it was right here. That one. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I love this one. Also, it comes with its own speaker, so that's just a bonus. Coming with its own speaker. It says warthogs right now, but we all know it's not going to be warthogs. Let's see, how big do I want the speakers to be broadcasting? That's set to 8. 8's a little large, so let's take it back to 6. Yeah, 6 is better. And then we'll move this all around. Whoops. There we go. See, I told you that you'd be seeing it when I made mistakes. Well, I just made a mistake. That's all right. It's an easily correctable mistake. And I'm going to theme everything as much as I can. I like making pretty zoos. But the trick to making a pretty zoo is you have to have the money to make it pretty. And while I have 18 grand left, 18 grand is not as much as it seems sometimes, and who knows. I am being fairly conservative with my money. I openly admit that. I have this thing in my head where I'm like, no, you have to have a certain amount for a cushion. So generally that's how I play. If it seems like I'm playing a little conservatively, well, you got me. I am. Okay, let me adjust that location there. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, playing conservatively. I do. I openly admit I play conservatively. And it's I'm very careful with the money. I'm very careful with the animals. I don't like letting them do naughty things, as the lady says, I promise I won't name drop too many other Let's Players, and I certainly won't start quoting them. No talk of, say, derpy bongos. I'm just not going to do it. I'll come up with my own catchphrases. Thank you. Ha 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 ha. I'm an evil genius. No, I'm actually just an old man who likes to hear himself talk, which is why I'm talking. One last thing, obviously. Let's get the cash flow incentives going here. That needs adjusting real quick. And of course, this is only my first animal. We've got bigger and better things to do later on, right? Okay. Later on comes shops. Later on comes scenery. Later on comes exhibits, things like that. What do you think? I like that one, but you know what? We're going to put it over here. There we go. Now, I know a lot of people would be, you know, they're like, why are you bothering? Why are you bothering? Well, I like bothering. In fact, you know what I should be doing? I should be doing this. This is my OCD. I know a lot of you know that I've got OCD. On top of everything else, I've got OCD. Oh my gosh. What that means is that I have a hard time letting things go. It means that for me, there's perfect and there's ruined. And I know it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous. But believe it or not, I just have a hard time not doing that. And this right here is an example of it. I just could not leave it alone until I had colored, placed, and correctly got it right in the right spot. And I'm going to try not to let that get to me. I'm going to try not to let that dominate my play, but every once in a while, if I don't let the monster out, the monster eats me. So every once in a while, you'll see me do something like this, where I'm like, you know what, yes, I know that that's picky, and I know that that's ridiculous, but I'm going to do it anyway, because if I don't, I'll go crazy. So I hope you can put up with me. I really hope you can put up with me. Because I have a hard time putting up with myself sometimes. This is, again, what I'm talking about, all that stupid OCD attention to detail. Makes for very pretty zoos, I gotta tell you this. And my rock work is good also. But for the most part, it's annoying. The worst part about being horribly OCD is that you know that you're horribly OCD. You know that what you're doing is not normal. But you can't help it because you're compelled. It's the reason why they call it a compulsion, is because you can't help it. I sit here and I go, well, why do I have to wash my hands 5 times? Well, because I do. That's just the way it is. But I just washed my hands. Yes, and now you're going to wash your hands again. You know, it's just the way things are. In any case, I like the looks of this donation bucket cover. It looks good, especially alongside the sign. And you know what? I think we're ready to unpause and actually start the game. There we go. Now I will get around to decorating these buildings. I'm not going to do it in this video, but I will eventually get around to doing so. I'll get around to adding shops, and I will get around to adding the exhibits and the exhibit animals. I'll get around to adding more plants, just generally doing things that I need to do to have a successful zoo. Okay, and let's see. There's Hannah. Let's see how Hannah's doing. Hannah needs less short grass, more long grass, and more soil. So let's take care of Hannah's needs. Let's get the soil down to about 60%. How about that? And I'm going to do this. Yes, I know I'm using it like a paintbrush, but I'm going to give that there. And then this area here is, you know, it logically makes sense to make it all torn up over here. We're going to do a little bit of that here too. As far as the rest of it, the long grass is easy. We'll do long grass along here, not in the shelter. We're going to have short grass for that. So everything looks good. Coverage and plants are perfect. And enrichment is good. Just in case Nope, not related to Bob at all. This is now a happy aardvark. And just like that, I've got 116 people in the zoo. All right, well, let's see what we got. Speaker 1. Oh yeah, might as well set those up too, right? And once we get all this done, I think we might be finished with our first habitat. How about that, huh? I really love playing this game. I get a great deal of enjoyment out of playing this game. It makes me feel good. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it makes me feel good. But it does. It's a fun game to play. It's just enjoyable as hell. So, here we are. Our aardvark exhibit. Let's take a look at our animals inside their own habitat. They can get around everywhere. You know, no complaints from the animals. Everything's fine. Somebody's already played the box. I think the fact that you can look into the break room and the keeper's hut is just a beautiful addition. So, there we have it. Habitat number 1. Let's name it while I'm thinking about it. Habitat number 1 is going to be aardvarks. Hopefully you had as much fun doing this as I did, despite the fact that I was nervous, and despite the fact that I fumbled, and despite the fact that I probably took too long and just did, made so many mistakes. It doesn't matter. I'm having fun with this. I'm enjoying this. I hope at least one of you is also enjoying this. If you liked the video, please click on the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Doing both of those really helps me out as far as growing the channel is concerned. If you don't like the video, tell me why. Tell me what I did wrong in the comments. Tell me what you liked about it. By all means. If you have an idea for what I should do for my next animal, if you have an idea for what I should do further on down the road, the next animal, if you make a suggestion, remember it's got to be an African animal because we're doing the African area first. I don't necessarily want to do a big, huge savanna habitat, and I'm not looking to include every single African animal, but we're going to do several because there's a lot of African animals, like I said earlier. And then we're going to move on to the next area, which I don't even know what it is. So if you have an idea as to which next area, Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Australia, the Arctic area, or the marshlands, let me know what I should do next. Give me all the suggestions in the world. Give me all the advice in the world. Believe me, I'll take it. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching my very first Let's Play video ever. I thank you for your attention. I hope you have a very good day, very good evening, whatever time you're watching this. I hope you have a happy holiday. We're only 5 days away from Christmas. I hope you're keeping safe from COVID. Go forth and be kind. The world needs more kindness. Thank you for dropping by. I'll talk to you next time.